Is it stenography? Is it
Good morning, everyone. I'm Megan Cullip, along here with Scott Micklin.
Good morning. It is Thursday, July 23rd. Good morning.
Jeez, it's the last weekend of July coming up.
It is the last weekend of July.
Woo.
Yes, it is.
Do you know kids start school like mid-August?
Yes, they do. Thank you. Crazy.
I know.
Here we are. Week number 20, we said, right?
No, 21.
Are we 21? I thought it was 20 on Monday. How could it be 21 by Thursday?
Oh, was
You're
it 20 on
confusing
Monday?
me. More than I normally am.
I was
You're
gonna
confusing
say,
me.
I can't remember. Maybe it is 20. Okay.
I'm going to go with 20. But
Okay.
we'll send the research team out to figure that out.
Yeah, our fact checkers.
Yes, the whole room full that we have here at KSJE. But we don't have any of them.
Okay.
We really don't. It's really low budget. But anyways, here we are. It's Thursday. And we're just talking about that, weren't we?
Yes.
It is Thursday, and we're back to share local information with everybody. So we're glad that you were with us, audience. Thank you for tuning in and being with us, because we have some great guests coming up today. We're talking about cleaning and learning today.
They're like two of my favorite things.
Right?
Cleanliness and learning.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I'm stoked.
We're excited to do that. But as always, we'll start off with some numbers,
Yeah.
and you are always the go-to person for big numbers with lots of commas. So let's go.
I know, like third grade Megan would have never imagined. Right. Like, whoa, where am I? Okay.
Who would have thought?
Who would have
Right?
thought?
Exactly. But we'll start with the Johns Hopkins numbers, the dashboard there that I have actually called up live, and there's a lot of numbers on that screen.
There's a lot of numbers on that screen. It also always looks really menacing because it's the black background with the red.
I know.
But
I don't know how
then
they can
again,
change that.
we
but
are in menacing times.
I guess so.
It'd be weird if it was like pastel.
Yes. Oh, we have a week 19 on someone's counting calendar on Facebook, so that's a live shout out. So thank you. We will double check.
Yes. Okay. So the United States confirmed 70,778 new cases of COVID-19 just yesterday, with 8.9% of the 796,395 tests reported coming back positive. So we have an 8.9% positive rate of all the tests.
Okay.
An additional 1,192 deaths were attributed to the virus on Wednesday, bringing the pandemic's American death toll to 143,184.
Okay.
A lot of deaths.
Yeah,
It's a lot.
that is a lot. Okay. So interesting, but we are seeing some recovered numbers on this dashboard as well over on the right-hand side, which I think is also good to be talking about. So there you are. but that's the
Yes.
Johns Hopkins numbers. And as we click over here to the U.S. map, again, we can kind of see where the numbers and where the red is, or the purple, pardon me, is kind of most menacing, which is where the most cases
Again,
are.
note the menacing, yeah.
Yeah. So again, we know Arizona. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
Parts of Texas, parts of the deep south. We're seeing Florida and all of that, the Gulf Coast.
Southern California is equally as messed up as Arizona is.
Correct.
Yeah.
So there's the data there at a glance, and so we have that to share with you today. We'll go to the KSJE page for coronavirus, again, ksje.com/news. That's where we've been compiling all of the local and state stories that are relevant about the coronavirus, and so we have the dashboard there at the top that kind of gives us an at-a-glance look of the number of cases. Again, over 300 again yesterday. We've been kind of at 300 or upper 200s for the last several days across our state. San Juan County, however, I think has been fairly low with reports. 8 new cases yesterday and 0 deaths yesterday in San Juan County. And as others will point out, I think that's the 5th day in a row of 0 deaths in San Juan County.
Yes.
And so I think that's worth noting and again, worth celebrating as well. So we appreciate that. And then if we scroll down, we can kind of see some of the other stories that are there. The Navajo Nation has extended the shutdown orders for the reservation. Again, not necessarily because of cases on the reservation, they said, but because of what's going on in nearby communities like Phoenix and Arizona and places like that. So that's going on there. Navajo Nation, again, 45 new cases reported on Wednesday, 6 additional deaths. There's the state numbers. And again, we had a positive employee reported at Farmington Schools this week. And then the court flurry of court activity earlier in the week about the health order about closing dining rooms at restaurants that were open.
A flurry of legal maneuvers.
How about that for a headline?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Right. So they were open. They were open. The governor closed them. Then they sued, and they were reopened for a few hours. And then within a matter of hours, the Supreme Court closed them back down again.
Yeah, and now this is the state Supreme Court, of course.
The state Supreme
Yes.
Court, right. So that is, and again, it's kind of a temporary ruling as both sides kind of put their arguments before the Supreme Court or this lower court, this district court in, I believe it was Roswell, where this lawsuit was filed. So anyway, that's where we are. So,
Jeez.
and so that's those stories and those we want to share with you. And then moving on to the state dashboard. Here we are in our state, and again, we've got the number of cases now at 17,828, and the age breakdown that you were interested in last week. Now I can actually scroll down and show that I think statewide it's in the 20s, but as we notice over here on the right-hand side, everybody, that bar graph, as we click on San Juan County, the big age moves into the 30s, where most cases are in our county. So that's what's going on.
Right,
with
which
that.
I have theories about, but they're purely anecdotal. So.
Okay. Well, I'm sure you'll share them at some point. Next, San Juan County has updated their graphs, and so we appreciate that. Basically, information through, looks like July 17th, 18th there of the number of cases. So again, we've got the blue line there are new COVID-19 cases in San Juan County per 7 days. And the yellow line is COVID-19 deaths in San Juan County. So again, we can see kind of the blue line is trending down, which is great news.
It's great news for us.
Good work, San Juan County. So we appreciate that. And as I scroll around here to get the next graph, we kind of want to see the next one here. This is, again, the number of San Juan County cases. New COVID cases and COVID-19 deaths. So again, same type of trend going down.
Right.
We had a little bit of a bump up there around
May.
June 8th is what I'm looking at, the other bump.
Oh,
Not the big bump.
Right.
Then it came back down. Then it bumped up a little bit there in earlier June. Now
There's
it's heading
the
back
big
down again.
bump, the mild bump.
Well, I'm just, yes.
No, it's true.
On that blue line. And then as we look at the other number, which I think is really interesting.
It's very interesting.
The magenta line there at the very top is New Mexico cases. And again, the green line is the Navajo Nation, and the, again, blue line is San Juan County COVID-19 cases per 7 days. And we can see, again, how our numbers are fairly lower and trending down, and the state is just got a problem, which is why we're seeing
Yes.
these health orders that are
Yep.
coming out
Yep.
in other parts of the state.
Continues to trend up. Yep.
And we see problem areas like, I believe, still Albuquerque, Bernalillo County, Doña Ana County, and Las Cruces area. That those two places seem to have the higher numbers. And again, San Juan County numbers have been fairly low recently,
Right.
and so that's good.
It's good news.
We have more work to do, but that's okay.
Yes.
So there
but
you
that's
go.
okay.
Well,
Yes.
you do.
It's a
We're all in
long
this together,
process.
as we
Yes,
say,
it's a
right?
long process.
So there you go. We do have a guest
Excellent.
who is on the phone, so let me bring them on the air with us this morning. Good morning, you're on KSJE. Thanks for calling in.
Good morning. This is Tanya Ortiz.
Hi, Tanya Ortiz from San Juan Regional Medical Center. Thank you for calling in this morning. We appreciate it. And you are the head of environmental services over at the hospital, otherwise known as kind of housekeeping and cleaning. But we wanted to have you on to talk a little bit about the technology that you use and all the different things that you're able to do there at the hospital to keep things clean. And these days, clean equals safe and healthy, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Very good. Well, talk to us a little bit about the staff there at the hospital. How many folks are working with you in this area?
I have about 45 staff members that are working with me in the hospital, and I've also inquired some additional staff to help me with reducing the spread of COVID and hitting all those high-touch areas routinely every single day, twice a day, or actually not twice a day, throughout the day. Hitting all those just to make sure we're hitting all those high-touch areas.
And those areas would be things like what? What would you say is a high-touch area? Like doorknobs
Like the
and
elevator, and doorknobs, elevator buttons, all the public areas that we have, hitting those restrooms throughout the day. Just routinely hitting all those high-touch areas, stairwells, door handles, anything that we can think of as a high-touch area. We're hitting that throughout the day, and more routinely than more routinely.
That makes sense. And let me ask about various chemicals and stuff that you guys use. Are you using the same exact cleaning supplies? It's just more thorough and more frequent? Or are there like special, super strong cleaning supplies that are coming out?
No, we're using the exact same stuff that we've had before. It's an oxycide, the sporicide chemical. It's a hospital-grade disinfectant. It's something we've had, and it's very effective against COVID and all of the other germs and nasty things that we have out there. Has a very low, has a very fast kill time of a 3-minute kill time. So, as soon as we're touching those surfaces, that's killing everything, so there's no spread.
very good. And Utana, I want to ask you too about the robot that you and your staff use at the hospital, right? Because you have, I think, 1 or 2 of those, don't you?
Yeah, it's our TrueD UV light system. It uses the technology from the sun, UVC, and what we do is after a patient gets discharged or transferred, we put this into the room afterwards, and it kills 99.9% of the bacteria and germs that are left in the room after the housekeeper has cleaned. So it's an additive to what we do to our services.
And that's pretty impressive, I would think, and pretty cool technology that you can do this. And I would imagine it saves a lot of time for your staff to be able to, again, they're still going in and doing their regular cleaning, but this is above and beyond kind of what they're able to do in the rooms, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't replace them. This TrueD doesn't kill all the dust and the blood or, body, anything that's left inside of the room. That still is our responsibility to clean. It just goes in after we're done doing the terminal clean. We're doing top to bottom. Walls, taking down the curtains in the room, changing out the bed, everything. And it just goes in afterwards, and we let it run. The time frame varies. What's good about the technology that we have is, it measures it. So it goes off of the square footage of the room. So it could take anywhere between 40 minutes to an hour, just depending on what's in the room. All the equipment that's left in there, the bed, and so once it's done, this TrueD UV light, what it will do is it'll tell you, say, hey, I'm done disinfecting the room. You can now move me to my next destination. It's very cool because it will text you and say, hey, come get me.
Wow.
It's polite. It's so polite.
It's so polite.
We like
Please move me to another
polite
room.
robots in our future.
It's
Yes.
like a super, super souped up like robot vacuum, those iRobot vacuums.
I think it's a bit more than that. I really do.
I want to attach a UV light to my iRobot at this point. Anyway.
You'd have to leave the house.
Right. Well, that is it. So how long, once it's done though, people can into the room, right? How long does
Absolutely. Once it's done, it's safe to go into the room. It's when it's on, you really couldn't go into it at all. It will, you get a tan, and not only that, it's really hard on your eyes. So it's not best to go in there in the room. But we have a lot of signage on the door when we put on the door, so you not to go into that room, and you can see the blue light at the bottom. I think the only downside that I hear is that it smells like a burnt light bulb when it's done, but it's killing everything in the room.
Right. Wow, that's amazing. So I have a broader question, just because we've been hearing a lot of stuff about changing spaces. So physically, when new spaces are built and stuff, changing it so that there's more space between things. There's maybe less high touch areas. Anyway, part of this report was saying, and I never noticed this. I visited tons of people in the hospital, but are the corners rounded? That's my question. So they were talking about how it's easier to clean if the corners are rounded. What does a hospital room look like compared to other rooms? Yeah.
They are square. I've not heard that before. Is that something that I'm learning something from you? Actually, I've not heard that about the corners of the room.
I know.
But
I
some
think
of the technology that we have, microfiber is proven to be very effective against a lot of germs, and that's the type of materials that we use. We don't use your traditional mop bucket and mop, cotton mop to clean. We're using microfiber, and microfiber it's kind of more like a positive and a negative charge. So your dust and particles are negative, and the microfiber is positive charge. So when you're cleaning these rooms and mopping them, that sticks to that pad pretty well, And so, but some of when we do inspections on our patient rooms after the housekeeper gets done cleaning, and Trudy goes in there checking out their room, and we do that routinely. My management team, we hit about a good 300 or 400 inspections per month in our facility.
Very good. And I think, though, I've seen, maybe not, I remember last time I was in the hospital, but I don't go as often as Megan goes to visit people.
Yeah, super accident prone over here.
But I think maybe along the kind of not the dashboards, the baseboards of the floor is kind of curved, and that allows for maybe cleaning and things like that. But anyways, there you go. But that is interesting. And so, Utana, as you are working with your crews and keeping the hospital so clean, and of course even more so during this time, and so you mentioned, I think, with the advent of COVID-19, your crews are doing their cleaning more frequently in the rooms and throughout the hospital. Are you had to kind of beef up some of your scheduling a little bit?
Absolutely. I have dedicated team members that are just doing nothing but the high-touch areas. Once they're done, they start back all over again. I have staff that are dedicated to the non-COVID areas in our hospital. They're hitting all those high-touch areas, and once they're done, they're going back over and back over. I mean, I think they're like, I think I've already hit that one. I'm like, well, we got to hit again. And then on our COVID units, the same thing too. The same focus there too is we're hitting those routinely as often as we can, and we really beefed up our schedules just to make sure that our patients and our family members and their community members that come to our facility, that they feel safe.
True, very true. Well, Utana, before we let you go, I wanted to ask you if you had any tips for the rest of us of trying to keep our houses clean and things like that. Are there some things that you notice that maybe people don't do properly when we're cleaning our homes, just to try to keep those a little bit cleaner these days?
I think one of the things that a lot of people don't know is that the disinfectants that you have in your household all have a wet time that we adhere to. It's on the back of the bottle or the side of the disinfectant wipe. And when I was talking about a 3-minute kill, a lot of the disinfectants have that. There's a time frame, and so you leave the surface wet for so long, for a certain amount of time that it has on the bottle, and you could see that that's how long it takes to kill all those nasty germs. And it's on most of the household disinfectants something that we don't see because we're so used to using like a Lysol spray and spraying it down and taking a paper towel right away and wiping it down, and and a lot of other things too is bleach has it's only good for a certain amount of time, and a lot of people it's the smell still there, and you mix it right away, and and most bleaches are only good for like 24 hours, and then you're having to dump it and refill it again to make it effective.
Interesting.
There's some cleaning tips out there.
Yes. Well, we're learning from the expert, so we appreciate that very much. And it's always great to visit with you, Tanya Ortiz. Thank you for calling in this morning.
Absolutely. Appreciate it. And then, a good shout out to my team here. They've done an amazing job. The housekeepers, and my laundry staff too, they've done an amazing job here. They've really stepped up when this pandemic started and really adapted well to making sure, our hospital is safe. And I think that's something that we still continue today since this all started. We're members of this community too as well, and we are doing everything in our power just to make sure we reduce the spread, and I'm truly thankful for my team for all they have done.
Very true. Well, please extend our thanks to them as well, and thanks to you for calling in. Appreciate it very much.
Absolutely. You guys have a good day. Thank you.
You too. Tanya Ortiz from San Juan Regional Medical Center, Environmental Services Manager there at the hospital. Did you know about wet time?
I did.
Did you?
But I'm like a obsessive cleaner.
Right.
So
there you go.
Yeah.
But good for a good reminder.
Right.
I think, too.
Yeah,
and those are on the labels, but we never read the labels.
Yeah,
on
spray it
anything.
and walk away.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's right. And I'm always trying to wipe it off immediately, and that's not apparently what you should do.
Yeah.
So
I think about how much germ you've been swimming in.
Right. Literally. There you go. Yuck. Well, thanks for that. Okay. So anyway, there's that.
Yeah. So
good information.
Good information. So while we're on the topic of medicine and hospitals and stuff,
yes, exactly.
I noticed on that picture, and this is for the radio listeners, that they now have like little hooks to hang the face shields.
Oh.
So I've never seen that. There's never been like kind of like how you'd hang a coat. They're like hanging the face shields outside of these rooms.
I gotcha.
For the physicians, I assume. Well, anybody really.
Anybody,
I assume.
right?
But,
that's true. So cool. Very good.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. So very good. We have another guest who's going to be joining us here in a second.
Yeah. So
as I get the technology working, because we're going to do a Zoom.
Yes.
With this other guest, and she's been on before.
Yeah.
One of our favorite guests.
She made a homemade bagpipe.
Right.
Out of like a bag and a straw.
How about that?
And something else.
That's crazy.
But it was amazing.
Right.
And then like percussion instruments and things like that.
Exactly.
So, hey, did you hear the Department of Health and Human Services announced a $1.95 billion agreement with Pfizer to purchase 100 million doses of its experimental vaccine?
Oh. How about that?
This is huge progress.
Right.
And completely...
I think we're getting close, don't you think? From the stories that we're seeing?
It seems like it, but I'm not an expert.
Well, no, neither am I, obviously. But I'm just saying, from the stories that we're seeing, it seems like there's been some good trials and some good data that's coming back in. And so it seems like we're at least getting narrowed down as to what seems to be a working formula for a potential vaccine.
And like Pfizer and Moderna are in phase 3, which is they're using actual human subjects. So yes, that is a lot closer.
Thank you. That's what I was saying. So there you go. Very good. So our next guest, and we don't see your camera yet. So as soon as we can get the video connected, maybe, there we go. There she is.
Hey, all right.
That's what we wanted to see for our next guest who is on the program with us. And so let me just do this and not that.
There we go.
Kind of.
Nice. I love the purple hair too. That was also partially why we wanted the Zoom call again.
Right.
That was a quarantine thing, and I've decided to keep it. So
I love it.
There you go. But welcome back to the program.
Hi, it's great to be here today.
Very good. And so, remind us, you work for Farmington Schools, and and what subjects do you teach? Remind us of that again, too, please.
So I am an elementary music teacher at Esperanza Elementary School, and I teach grades kindergarten through 5th.
All right. And so, Amber Jones, we're glad that you're here, and we wanted to kind of bring you back on the program to talk a bit about all the back-to-school talk that we are hearing about and the different plans that the school districts are rolling out. And I know you work with Farmington Schools, so that's the one that you're familiar with. But I was hoping maybe you could give us some advice maybe for parents who are trying to figure out what's going to work best for their kids in the fall, knowing that, of course, all kids are unique and different, and what works for one may not work for all. But do you have any words of advice?
You know, honestly, I wish I had all the answers to everything.
Well, thanks for joining us, Amber.
Yeah, exactly.
Just kidding.
Don't we all?
Yes.
Well, I've been working with a team of teachers from my school this past week and through the weekend, making phone calls to all the parents of students that go to my school. And then I also received phone calls for my one child who's going to PBHS this year. And we are trying to get numbers from the parents to find out how many of the parents are planning on sending their kids back to school and how many are planning on doing our at-home option, it's going to be a really good option. It's going to be totally different than it was in the spring. Our tech people and all of our teachers have been working insane amounts of hours during this summer break to try and get things going so that our online programs run smooth and that we can actually teach things the way that we need to. I say, and I know I've heard this in the past by other people, that the teaching that we did in the spring wasn't really, it was distance learning, but it was crisis teaching. We were given 6 hours to figure out what to do and how we were going to do it when schools got shut down last spring, and we've had time to get things going. So with all of that, for the parents who really feel like they don't want their kids to be around I don't want to say around other kids, because the kids need to be around other kids, but just to be exposed or potentially be bringing that home, or if they have family members who are at risk that they live with, the at-home option is a really good option for them. Going back to school, we're going to have all the social distancing in place. The kids will have to wear masks, which I know for some kids is going to be really hard, but we need to start teaching our kids right now, and should have been doing it earlier, to keep them on, how to keep them on and why we need to keep them on. And I know for the littles, the kinder, first, second graders, it's going to be really hard. Good grief, I've seen a kindergartner come to school looking gorgeous and leaving at the end of the day like they got their self shocked by a light socket, because, kinders just play with their clothes and they're just a mess sometimes. So keeping the masks on the littles is going to be hard. But if we can teach them now and explain to them why it's important, maybe that will help. I know a lot of parents are struggling with what to do with their kids if they have to go to work and they've chosen the online option. It's a really hard decision to make. And honestly, I feel like the parents need to make the decision that's best for them and for their kids, with no judging from anybody else. I'm not going to judge any family for saying, I want my kids to go to school, because I'm sending mine, and he's 14 and he could very well stay home and do his work. But I know that he needs an in-class, face-to-face teacher. That's how he learns. So he needs that. If your kids are like that, send them. But if you don't feel comfortable, don't. I'm not, and I hope that no one else in the district, our families, I hope we're all just supportive of each other for the decisions that they make. I know we're going to have the best safety protocols in place that we can inside the buildings. And I don't know what all of those are, because I don't know that the district has everything we need yet. We will by the time school opens, but everything changes from day to day. The information that we get last week is different than what we're going to get tomorrow. So it's hard, but I just want parents to know that both options are good options, and it's going to be okay, whatever they choose. This whole year is going to be a learning curve for everyone, and the things that we teach and the way that we teach is going to be different, and we just have to accept that. I'm a little bit of a control freak. I don't know why. I've just always been that way. And coming to terms with all of this has caused me some anxiety this summer, and my not knowing and not being able to teach music the way that I want to, with all the singing and playing instruments and stuff. We can't do that. And I have to relearn all the ways that I teach too. And our classroom teachers do, and the art teachers and the PE teachers, we all have to. So I just think it's going to be a big learning curve this year. And we're all going to do the best that we can. And I think we're all going to lean on each other more as teachers than we have in the past, and really, really share resources and just be there for each other. At least that's my hope. But I'm very optimistic. So
Right. And you mentioned your summer break, but for our radio audience, they couldn't see you were using air quotes, because I know none of you had a real break over the summer. And I do want to remind our listeners and viewers that we did have Dr. Schmidt, the superintendent of schools, on this program briefly on Monday, kind of talking about the return to learn options and things like that for students and for parents. And he'll be speaking with me again next Wednesday at 8 a.m. here on KSJE, just FYI. We're also going to be speaking with Aztec School Superintendent Kirk Carpenter on Monday at 8 a.m. and Bloomfield, Dr. Kim Mizell, on Tuesday at 8 a.m. next week to kind of go over some of their return to school plans and the options for parents in those districts as well. So I just want to put out that plug.
Yes, and I have a question, because you briefly mentioned singing, and in fact your mug says sing on it. I know that the jury is sort of, we assume that obviously you project more when one sings than you do when you talk. It's probably very similar to yelling, especially if kids are singing the way they're supposed to be singing, right, from their diaphragm. And so we're not quite, I know, see, I had a choir class or two.
You also know James, so,
I do know James is my buddy. But, so we're kind of, they don't really know how much of a super spreader singing is. But I had heard that there is a study out there that music teachers especially are waiting on. I think it's called Just Singing in the Time of COVID, and it's actually a university teaching hospital study. So could you talk briefly about that?
So obviously the results haven't come out yet, and we're supposed to be finding more information out on that later this week or next week. And it stinks, because I'm a vocalist and I sing. That's what I do. I sing. And it's going to be hard. And I put on a mask and I tried to sing, and you can't hear me. And I like the sound of my voice. No, I'm just kidding. But I like the sound of children's voices. And I don't want to have to I don't want to have them try to force their voices to be heard through a mask. That's also going to be an issue, because if we're wearing masks, you would have to project your voice harder to be heard. And I think teachers are also going to find that wearing the masks is going to be, it could cause some vocal strain. So we all kind of need to rethink about the way that we even talk for long periods of time wearing the mask. As far as the singing and stuff in my classroom, it's hard to say because we don't know exactly what we can and can't do yet. But I have decided that for my classroom, and we've all been given a little bit of liberty this year to do more of what we feel is best for our students. So in the music world of education, there are 4 core art standards, and they actually carry over to visual arts too. They're the same. They are performing, creating, connecting, and responding. So the singing and playing instruments, which I can't teach recorders this year, and some parents are going, yay, thank goodness. I'm a little sad, because I do like the recorder. You guys saw my bagpipes last spring.
We did. Yes. We love those.
Oh, yeah,
that's right.
So, we can't share instruments in class. So even I don't have enough instruments for the whole school to have their own. I don't know that I would have enough time in between classes to sanitize everything. So myself, I'm taking a different approach to teaching music this year, because all of our proficiency scales that we teach from revolve around the 4 standards: performing, creating, connecting, and responding. So I can take out the performance piece for this year. My kids can still create music. They just won't be doing it on an instrument or with their voice. We can do lots of connecting and lots of responding with listening activities and learning about other things that are related to music that aren't the singing aspect. And I have just had to really rethink how I do this, because my classroom is very much singing and instrument centered. That's what we do. But I'm going to take this year and use it as a great learning opportunity for myself, to learn about things that I haven't taught in the past, and also to just expose my kids to as much other types of music information that I can. So some of the things I can do is focus more on teaching composers. I can teach more about different types of music from around the world. I can teach them about the history of rock and roll. I can teach them about the history of blues and jazz, all kinds of stuff that are still related to the 4 art standards, the connecting and the responding and the creating. They just wouldn't be able to create, again, with their voices. But that's okay, because a lot of musicians don't sing. They do other things. And so that's what we're going to do in my classroom this year. And another thing that I kind of got into creating during the spring were these Google interactive classrooms, where you make a Google slide and it looks like your classroom or a classroom. And then you just put clickable links on there so the kids could do it, whether they were choosing the online option for school that we have this year, or if they're even at school, because I'm going to try and talk as little as I can, just to try and save my voice, and which is going to be really hard. If any of my colleagues are listening, please don't hold me to that, because I know but
Right.
I really am going to try and make it more of a student-centered learning classroom, where I've given them the information through my Google Interactive Classroom, and they can go and do all the activities. They would have like pre-recorded videos of me teaching a lesson, and obviously I'm going to be in the classroom with them for the kids who are at school. So if they had questions, they could ask. And then for the kids who are at home, I can just put this up on their online learning platform, and they can still do the same lesson that the kids are doing in school, without having to worry about the singing and playing instruments. So I actually have one that I can show you if you guys are interested in seeing it. Okay. So
See, this is why we have you on the show.
I know, right?
Because of the show and tell and the props that you have ready to go.
Exactly.
We love all of it, all of it. So,
okay.
yes.
I actually presented this at a New Mexico Music Educators workshop on Saturday. And I presented like how to create one of these. I'm not going to do all that. I'm just going to show you what I did. So I'm going to share my screen really quick.
Okay. And we're going to hope that this works. Fingers crossed. Are you able to do that, or do I need to change something at my end?
It says host disabled attendees.
See how he is, that host.
See how he is.
Darn host. So I bet you could try it now. There you go.
It's a yes.
Yeah, it worked. Okay. So I have this little classroom that I made.
Oh my gosh, she looks just like you.
That's my Bitmoji.
See?
She's supposed to look just like me.
Oh, that's awesome.
So when they first open it, I don't have it in presentation view. Do you want me to show you in presentation view so you see what they see?
Sure, go ahead.
So this is where I would build it. This is just in Google Slides. It's like a PowerPoint, basically, but on my Google Drive. And so I just have this. I've created all this, and all.
And I guess the other thing to say about Google Slides is it's free, right?
It is, yeah. If you
as
have
opposed
a
to
Google
PowerPoint,
account,
right?
Yes, if you have a Google account, it's totally free. So everything that's on here is clickable, and there's a link attached to it or something. So when I click present, and actually when the kids get this sent to them, it's already in presentation view, so they don't have to do anything else.
Right. So they'll see it this way.
Look like this.
There you go. And so again, radio listeners,
sorry.
Welcome to
you're missing out.
Oh, it's talking to us.
It talks and everything.
Click on any of the objects on the shelves, on the floor, and even on the wall to see what kind of activities you can do.
Was that your voice?
Yeah. Me and see what I am going to teach you today.
So I pre-recorded that, so that's their good morning message. And every slide that I do could have a different good morning message. This was the sample that I showed all the people at my presentation on Saturday. So that automatically starts. And we were both kind of talking over my message there, but it says you can click on any of the objects on the shelf, on the wall, or on the floor for activities, and then you can even click on me for a quick lesson. So I won't go through all of these because it's kind of time consuming, but Music Play right here is the music curriculum that we use in Farmington schools. It's an online music curriculum, and it has student access, so they can access all kinds of music games and other learning tools, as well as interactive online learning modules that the creator, her name is Denise Gagne. She's amazing, and throughout the whole quarantine, she kept adding these online teaching modules. Like just every week, she was adding more and more to it. She's just amazing. But I have this link here so the kids can go to that, and they're all very familiar with it. I won't click it because it'll take us out of this. But so I have that. And then over here is a link to songs that I've already taught my kids. I'll click it, that are movement songs. And this is not really a theme or topic-based slide. This just kind of shows a lot of different stuff. My actual classrooms that I would create would have a topic, and so everything that you click on would be related to everything else. But this one's not set up that way because I wanted to show the teachers all the different things you could put on here. So if I click this, it takes me to my Google Drive that I've shared with my students, if my internet will work.
There it comes.
And all of these right here are songs that are movement songs that I've taught the kids. So they can play the song and do the movement that they already know. And they could even grab their siblings and come and do that. Or if we're in class, we can do it as a whole class. So there's that. And then this one is a link to a website called Chrome Music Lab. So this is a place where the kids can create music without having to, are we going to work? Here we go. Without having to sing or play instruments. It's all on their computer. And they can create things and record what they've created and save it and send it to me through their online learning platform. So this one's really cool. It has all kinds of different activities. You can play music. You can create art right here on this Kandinsky thing, which is cool because I have a whole Kandinsky music and art connection slide that I'm creating for my 4th and 5th graders. So I'm glad that's on there. So they can do all of this stuff on Chrome Music Lab, which is really cool. I can't get out of this one.
That's okay.
Trap.
There you go.
My Zoom thing popped down and I couldn't get to the tab. The crabfish is a story. Well, it's called a song tale. John Feyerabend is pedagogical music amazing guru guy who has put out all of these song tales that are stories put to a song, and the kids love this one. It's called The Crabfish. So when they click on this, I have the book in my classroom, so we could look at the book and just listen to the song tale from here. This is a really cute, I put this one out for my kids to listen to during quarantine because it's a song that I found by Sesame Street with Dave Matthews, and it's a song about feelings. So I downloaded the video and put it on here so the kids could learn it, sing about their feelings, because we all know we had some feelings back in the springtime.
No kidding.
Dave Matthews on Sesame Street.
Look at that.
With,
Yeah,
what was his name? Grover?
Cool.
That's
Yeah,
Grover,
that was
right?
Grover.
Okay.
Yes.
That was Grover.
There you
And
go.
then this one, I found this little poster, and the world is a better place because you are here. I try so hard to put as many positive messages in everything that I do for my kids, especially during this really, really weird time. Social emotional learning is like one of the biggest things that we can do for our kids right now. And that is making connections with them and really, really letting them know that we are there for them. Even if I can't give them all a hug anymore, we can give air hugs and 6-foot distance high fives and smiley masks where you can see my eyes are smiling, but you can't see my face. And I just want the kids to know that I recognize that they might be hurting in some way And so I want to be able to connect with them. And I love this song. This is a link to Michael Jackson's Heal the World.
Yes.
And this is actually a cover done by a child prodigy group. The whole thing is done by, I'll play just a tiny little bit of it. It's all kids singing, playing instruments. It's amazing. I'll just play like a little bit of it.
Okay.
It's super good. And you can use other things besides drums. He's playing a washer.
Much brighter than tomorrow. And if you really try, the one there's no need to cry. In this place, no guilt, there's no hurt and sorrow. There are ways to get there if you care. Not more to give it. Make a little space. Make a better place. The world. Make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. Never what I need. We cannot believe. Make a better place for you and for me.
I want to play the whole thing, but it's 6 minutes long. But
I
love
understand.
It
Yes.
shows the kids, other kids playing and singing, and just, I don't know, I get chills every time I see that version. It's just amazing.
It is
So,
amazing. I have a suggestion
and
for
then-
another song, too.
Oh.
I'm sorry?
I have a suggestion for another song you can add
Sure.
later. Natalie Merchant's Wonder. It's one of my favorite
Oh,
songs. You know what I'm talking
absolutely.
about? Yeah.
I love Natalie Merchant. Oh my gosh, I grew up with 10,000 Maniacs
Yes.
in high school.
Yes.
There you go.
Scott's
Love
confused.
them.
Yes.
That's okay. That's all right.
Okay, I wrote that one down. Thanks,
Very,
Megan.
very good. Well, Amber,
Okay,
this has
and
been amazing. Go ahead.
I won't click on me, but I actually have a video clip attached to this of me teaching them a lesson on how to build a recycled instrument. And that's just a lesson I did back in the springtime during the week of Earth Day,
Nice.
because we did recycled stuff. So, yeah. I have a whole like Star Wars themed one with the composer, John Williams. One of my colleagues suggested that told me that she was going to be doing, and this was Risha over at Animus. I'm just going to plug her because she's cool. She is going to do a whole like around the world thing and give the kids like a passport. And so all of her lessons will be like music around the world. So I can create a slide that looks like different country or, whatever, and then include all of the music and links to stuff that are related to that. So I'm super excited about getting to use this because it's going to serve so many different purposes. I can create them for every grade level. I can create them, and the kids who are at home who aren't coming to school can still access it and still get music education even though they're not in the building. And with the limited number of kids I'm going to have in the classroom, this is just going to be great. And I'm super, super excited to be able to do this. It's time consuming, but once you get the hang of it, it's not so bad.
Right. No, very cool. And again, it's all that thinking outside the box that you and your colleagues and teachers around the world are doing in this new COVID world. So it's amazing, and we appreciate you sharing that with us this morning.
Sure. I just want to give one quick shout out before we go. New Mexico Music Educator Association released the names of the winners of their annual awards yesterday. And
some of your colleagues.
Farmington Municipal Schools actually took 40% of those awards. We had Kelly Yost from Bluffview won the John Batchelor Award for Excellence in General Music Education. Monica Leeming, who teaches orchestra at Farmington High and Tibbetts, won the Hall of Fame Award for continued work in excellence work in music education. She's been a teacher for, I think you have to be like 20 years or more teaching in order to get that one. So she's been here forever, and she's awesome. And then our long lost, never forgotten Les Leach, who's been a supporter of music educators for his whole entire life, who has the band room at Hermosa named after him. He won the Emeritus Teacher Award for his continued support of music education. And Farmington District won for the 4th time in a row a District of Distinction for support of music education. And I'm just super proud of all of the people that I work with, and I'm so honored to get to work with such an amazing group of music educators at the elementary, middle school, and high school level, and the people who work at San Juan College who are part of us, who share things with us. Tone Betts is awesome, and Virginia Nichols, you know, she's just recently left from PV, and she's over there at San Juan College now, and they are super supportive of the elementary, middle, and high schools here. And
That's great.
Congratulations
to all of them.
An art supportive community.
Very true. Well, Amber, this has been great. Thank you so much for sharing all of your creativity with us this morning and your passion for the job that you do. I think all of your students are better for it. So thanks so much.
I hope so. Thank you. It's been great again. I told Dan Fear yesterday that I was going to be on the radio again, and he's like, well, that's what you do really well. So.
Well, he's right.
Yeah, he's right.
And he's no slouch either,
No,
so there you go.
No, he's not. He's
That's
amazing.
Right. That's
I love
right.
him. He's great.
So wonderful. Well, Amber, do take care and good luck as school begins in the next few weeks, and we'll certainly keep in touch with you.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day.
You're very welcome. That is Amber Jones. She is, of course, music educator at Farmington Schools, and very passionate for her job, which her students are lucky to have her.
Yeah, that is because passion is the most infectious thing.
No kidding.
Yeah, I've like acquired a taste for all sorts of things just because.
You're passionate for radio now, aren't you?
Right, because my general manager, it's infectious.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in a good way.
Yeah.
In a non-mask.
Yeah, that's a
face
weird
covering
man.
way.
That'll never be the same.
No.
Again.
Not really.
That vernacular.
But anyway, but on that note,
yeah.
I think we should probably wrap up the show
I
today,
mean,
but it's been a great show.
Let's end on the
We've
highest
learned so
note.
many things today about
have.
cleaning, about wet time, about all these different things, right?
Yes.
Okay.
If you're joining us late, wet time
Look
is
it up. Just
the
have to
amount
rewind.
of time that a disinfectant has to stay on the surface before you wipe it down.
That's what I meant. There you
I know.
go. All right, everybody.
Just,
Thank you for joining us. Have a safe and good weekend. We'll be back with you, of course, Monday, 9 o'clock, live on Facebook and YouTube. Of course, a rebroadcast at 5:06 p.m. tonight on KSJE Radio, and, of course, on our website at ksje.com. So anyway, stay safe.
Till next time.
Wear your masks and wash your hands, and we'll see you Monday. Bye-bye.